Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Gloria and I am a full-time clothing reseller, and in today's video, I want to talk about Depop. So I've actually been on Depop for the past 5 years now, and this past year, I watched my Depop blossom, and I want to give you guys some tips and hacks on how to make your Depop blossom. So let's just jump in. So Depop is actually the fastest growing platform in the United States. This is actually the best time to jump on Depop, mainly because you are getting more buyers to your listings, and there are, of course, more sellers, and you can find some great things as well, because you already know I like to buy and sell, and Depop is actually a great place to do that. I used to actually think Depop was only good for like vintage, Y2K, and just like those fun, funky finds. However, it's for all items. I have actually sold mature brands on there. I've heard others selling mature brands. People are also able to sell baby clothes. Yes, baby clothes. I've also actually bought salt and pepper shakers on Depop. I know. So you can pick up those like kitschy fun pieces that are not always clothes and that are not always vintage or Y2K. They sell very modern pieces. They have like the Lululemon, the Free People, the Anthropology, the Revolve. They sell a lot of different things on there. So it's not really only for the Y2K vintage. Now, yes, a lot of people think only Gen Z shops on Depop, but I'm a millennial and I shop on Depop. Okay. So it is for everybody. And I don't be wearing a lot of Y2K vintage pieces. I'm a modern girly. So I do find pieces that are current. I just picked up a Vuori pair of trouser pants, and they were actually, okay, y'all, and y'all know I'm cheap, but they were actually a really, really, really good deal. They were a third of the price that they were listed on other platforms. And you already know I did a lot of shopping around because I am very cheap, and I found them on Depop for the cheapest amount, and I quickly purchased them. So I think that Depop is a hidden gem. And then to add on to that, people also sell jewelry on there. So it's just not for the vintage pieces. Like Depop is good for all aspects. So any type of handmade items that you may, make. If you are a person that crochets and you just have like a really fun hobby, you can sell stuff like that on Depop. It's just not for vintage clothes. It's for everybody. So Depop actually has no seller fees, 0 seller fees. So you won't be paying anything to this platform to sell your items. However, there is a payment processing fee, but that's just so, they'll be able to, process the payment between you and your buyer. So it kind of, you got to pay something, but it's only 3%. So it's not much of anything. But when it comes to the fees, it's actually still the lowest amongst all platforms. So you can't beat that. All right. So moving on to the tips portion of this video. The first thing I want to say is to price your items accordingly. So I know I just talked about that there are no seller fees, which is great. That actually helps you benefit from making sure you can get that sale. So you're able to price your items a little bit lower than you would anywhere else because you don't have a fee to pay. The second tip is going to be your keywords. Depop is amazing when it comes to providing keywords for you. So if you are a person that does not know anything about keywords, but you still want to make some sales on Depop, they do provide a section where you're actually able to click these keywords that apply to your item. And if you do not know anything about these keywords, you can just do a quick Google and look and see the styles and see if yours fit that criteria. And then you can use those keywords that Depop provides. And y'all know that I am keyword heavy, so that's why I'm able to sell a lot of items on Depop that are like style based, mainly because I use a lot of keywords that Depop provides, and then also ones that I have learned over time. And then the third one is actually the offers. Now I know. The offers not being binding is a little bit frustrating. However, okay, the great thing that does come from the offers not being binding when it comes to being a seller is the fact that it shows that your item is well loved and sought after. Now, maybe they're not ready to buy it yet, and that's okay. But it shows the next person that, hey, this item is a hot commodity. I probably should go ahead and get this. And that has happened a lot for me on my Depop shop. Like I will have an item that received like 3, 4, 5 offers. And yes, some of them I've accepted, some of them I've countered, and some of them I possibly declined because y'all know me. I don't play about people lowballing me. However, when it comes to me actually selling that item, the next person that comes along, they buy for my full asking price. And that always like is mind blowing to me because I'm just kind of like, wow, I love this. That person saw that it was in 4 people's bags. It was 5 offers sent. And they're like, you know what? I'm not even going to send them an offer. I'm just going to buy it outright. The fourth tip is actually relisting your items. Now, this is very very tedious. So I do use a service to help me with that. And they relist my items every 30 days because after 30 days, your item is stale in the algorithm. And we all know how algorithms work. We want to make sure that we are still at the top. And every 30 days, I like to refresh my listing and make sure that the price point still looks good. The photos still look good. The description still looks good. You just want to make sure everything is updated because sometimes, you know, you can list a piece during a different season, but it can still tie into the new season. So you might want to change some keywords and maybe drop the price. So it's just a few things you factor in when you do relist that item just to make sure it can actually sell this go around and you don't have to keep relisting it, you know? And then another one is actually questions. So just in general, you're going to receive questions if you are a Depop seller because people are always inquisitive about an item because they're not able to touch it. They're not able to try it on. So they are going to ask questions. So me personally, I like to make sure that I have everything in the listing already, be that the photos or the description, so I can get that impulse shopper to actually purchase that item instead of having to send me a, you know, question like about measurements or is the fabric content this, and then it'll make them think like, I probably don't need this right now. So if you have everything provided in the listing, like the fabric, the brand, because I know a lot of people, you know, are heavily right now anyways, are into the fabric makeup of items. So some brands, of course, are not going to provide great fabric contents as far as it not being polyester. But if you have like a piece that is linen or cashmere or wool or any type of natural fiber, that is something that you want to highlight in the description or even showcase in the photos when it comes to your listing because people are looking for things like that. Also, people don't want to be bamboozled when it comes to the brand. So if you are selling, you know, one of those fast fashion brands, don't just not put the tag in the listing. But if you do have to skip out on the tag being in the listing so you can get other photos, make sure you put the correct brand in the description so they know what they're getting. Because at the end of the day, y'all, you want to make sure that the buyer has everything that they need in your listing so then they can just buy it. They don't have to ask you questions. But of course, if they do ask questions, you absolutely want to answer them. I did recently have somebody ask me like 3 questions, and yes, in my mind, I'm like, I'm sure that they're not going to purchase this, but let me go ahead and answer these questions. So she went on and purchased that Free People top after I answered all 3 of her questions. So I think that sometimes you just want to make sure that you are providing the best customer service to your potential buyers so you can make the sale. And lastly, when it comes to your listing photos, I personally love using Miss Mannequin, okay? I don't have a name for her, but I've had her for like 4 years now. She has been amazing. So I like to put a lot of my items that are not gonna look good just on a hanger on Miss Mannequin because I personally do not have the body to be modeling anything that I sell, okay? So I like to use a mannequin to showcase the item and make sure that buyer can get a visual of like, how would this look on me? So not only do I provide the, you know, the photo with the mannequin wearing the item, but I also like to provide the measurements so then they can get an idea of like, okay, I am a so-and-so pit to pit in length. That top is that, so I can see how it's gonna fall on my body type. So I like to make sure that I provide those photos with the mannequin just to kind of give that buyer a really good visual of what it would look like on them. Modeling your photos are great. Like I think if you have the body for it, modeling is great. Flat lays are great. I personally have a lot of luck with hangers and I just prefer hangers because I am a millennial and my back would be hurting if I sat on the floor to photograph items and measure items. So I like to just use a hanger, you know, photo to, you know, showcase my item because again, my back gonna be hurting if I get on the floor and try to photograph these pieces. But I think that you could make it work no matter what. So just find out what's gonna work perfectly for you. Kind of maybe do a trial and error and see if, you know, photos on the ground perform better versus photos on a hanger versus photos on a mannequin and just things like that. But yeah, y'all, that's all that I have for this video. If you guys are interested in trying out Depop, I do have a special link down below so you can test it out. And of course, you do have to be consistent on the platform in order to see any type of growth. So if you do try it out, just stay with it for a little bit of time and just make sure that you are remaining consistent and you are following all of these tips that I've provided to make sure you are going to be growing as a reseller. But if you've made it this far, please consider subscribing, like this video, and leave a comment on your tips and tricks that you've learned on your own when it comes to Depop and how to make a lot of sales over there, because you already know I'm nosy. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.